Shabbat Shalom, everyone, and good Shabbos. It is a brisk evening here in Huntington, and it's been a snowy day. Not terrible. I think maybe we had about 2 inches, if that. And most of the roads are clear. Side avenues are a little slick because of the bricks, but the main streets seem pretty good, and it was a pleasant walk out here this evening, and this afternoon I took a walk, had some errands to run, so I was out in the snow. I felt like a little kid playing hooky, but it is a nice, quiet winter night, but regardless of the snow or the cold or whatever, it is Shabbat, and we are here together either in person or online on the interwebs. All right. Gonna begin things a little bit differently tonight. Let's start on page 20 with Lecha Dodi, a song that comes to us from the mystical city of Sfat. And Jerusalem had snow this week. Just so you know, it does snow in the Holy Land, as it were. They had enough to a number of inches, and some of my colleagues who live in Jerusalem were out enjoying it with their families. So it does, in fact, snow in Jerusalem. Not often, but it does. Top of page 20. Lecha dodi likrat kala, p'nei Shabbat nikabila. Lecha dodi likrat kala, p'nei Shabbat nikabila. Shamor v'zachor b'dibor echad, Ishmi'anu el hamiuchad, Adonai echad, Ushmo echad, L'shem u'tiferet v'litila, Lecha dodi likrat kala, P'nei Shabbat nikabila, Likrat Shabbat lechu v'nelcha, Ki mekor ha'bracha, merosh mikedem nehesucha, sof ma'aseh b'machshava techila, lecha dodi likrat kala, p'nei Shabbat nikabila, mikdash melech ir melucha, kumitzei mitoch apecha, rab lahak shevet, V'yemecha b'cha, v'hu yachamol alaychem la, lecha dodi likrat kala, p'nei Shabbat nikabila, itnari me'arfar kumi, livshei bigdei tifartechami, al yad v'nishai beit halachmi, korba el nafshi gehala, Lecha dodi likrat kala, p'nei Shabbat nikabila, hitorari, ki va'orek kumi uri, shir daberi, k'vod Adonai alayich nigla, lecha dodi likrat kala, P'nei Shabbat nikabila, lo tevoshi v'lo tikolmi, mahatish tochachi umatemi, v'achyechesu aniyei ami, v'nihiv mitahir altila, lecha dodi likrat kala, P'nei Shabbat nikabila, V'hayu l'shimsa shosayich, v'rahachaku kol mevalayich, yasis alayich Elohayich, ki himsos chatan halakala, lecha dodi ligrat kala, p'nei Shabbat nikabila, yamil smol tihifrotzi, V'et Adonai taharitzi, al yad ish ben partzi, ונשמחה ונגילה, לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה, בואי בשלום עטרת בלה, גם בשמחה ובשלה, תוך אמוני עם סגולה, בואי חלה, לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. I'm going to turn to page 22 for verses from Psalm 92, or selections from Psalm 92, also known as the Psalm for Shabbat. We'll read the English paragraph together, the top English paragraph together, and then we'll go into the indented paragraph in Hebrew for Tzaddik Katamar. A song for Shabbat. It is good to praise Adonai, to sing hymns to your name, O Most High, to proclaim your steadfast love at daybreak, your faithfulness each night, with a 10-stringed harp, with voice and lyre together. You have gladdened me by your deeds, Adonai. I shout for joy at your handiwork. How great are your works, Adonai, how very subtle your designs. A brute cannot know, a fool cannot understand this. Tzaddik Katamar Yivrach, Kerez Balbanon Yiskeh Shetulim Beveit Adonai Bechatzrot Eloheinu Yafrichu O Genuvun Veseva Vishenim Vera'ananim Yihiyu Lehagi Ki Ashar Adonai Suri Velo Avlatabo. And we'll turn the page to Shalom Alechem, greeting the angels who come to spend Shabbat with us. Shabbat is a time of plenty and everything is doubled. That's why we have 2 chalot, and we have 2 angels that come to spend Shabbat with us, according to the rabbis. Came out of the Masechet Shabbat, came out of the Talmud first, and then the rabbis who were involved in the Kabbalah, they added to the idea. So page 24, Shalom Aleichem. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei HaShaharit, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim HaKadosh, Baruch Hu. Boachem L'Shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech, Malachei Amlachim HaKadosh, Baruch Hu. Barchuni L'Shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech, Malachei Amlachim HaKadosh, Baruch Hu. Tzeitchem L'Shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech, Malachei Amlachim HaKadosh, Baruch Hu. We'll conclude Kabbalat Shabbat with Mourner's Kaddish for mourners and those observing Yahrzeit, page 294. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, v'yalma tibrach hiruteh, v'yamlik malchuteh, v'chayei chon, v'yomei chon, v'chayei d'chol Beit Yisrael, ba'agala ubizman kariv imru amen. Yehi shmei rabba v'barach l'olam l'amel maya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yithadar v'yitaleh v'yithalal shmei v'kudisha b'richu. Leila min kol birchata v'shirata. Tushbachata v'nechamata v'amiram v'alma v'yimbru amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya. V'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimbru amen. Oseh shalom v'romav. Hu ya'aseh shalom. Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimbru amen. Going to turn to page 146 for Baruch Hu, the beginning of Aravit L'Shabbat, the evening service for Shabbat. Page 146, Baruch Hu. Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Leolam Va'ed. Let's read together on the bottom of page 147 in English. Adonai, your majesty is proclaimed by the marvels of earth and sky. Sun, moon, and stars testify to your power and wisdom. Day follows day in endless succession, and the years vanish, but your sovereignty endures. Though all things pass, let not your glory depart from us. Help us to become co-workers with you, and endow our fleeting days with abiding worth. Baruch atah Adonai, Ma'ariv Aravim. Page 148, Ahavat Olam. Ahavat Olam, Beit Yisrael, Amcha Ahavta, Torah u'mitzvot, Chukim u'mishpatim, Otanu limadeta. Al kein Adonai Eloheinu, v'shafeinu uvkumeinu, nasiach bechukecha, v'nismach b'divrei Toratecha, u'v'mitzvotecha, le'olam va'ed. Ki heim chayenu v'yorech yameinu uvahem nege yomam v'layla ve'ahavatecha al tasim mimenu li'olamim. Baruch atah Adonai Ohev Amo Yisrael. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. V'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levacha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol meodecha v'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam v'shivtecha b'veitecha Uvlechtecha b'derech, uv'shoftecha uv'kumecha, ukshartam le'ot al yadecha, v'hayu l'totafot b'neinecha, uchtavtam al mezuzot beitecha, uv'hisharecha. Leman tizkeru v'asitem et kol mitzvotai, V'tem kedoshim le'elohechem. Ahani Adonai Elohechem. Asher hotzeiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim liot lachem le'elohim. Ani Adonai Elohechem. Page 151 at the bottom. Let's read responsibly in English. We worship the power that unites the universe, a promise of harmony for all.
Yet that oneness eludes our grasp as imperfection and evil abound.
Before our eyes there is a vision of perfection, order, and goodness.
There is evil enough to break the heart, and there is good enough to exalt the soul.
When will redemption come?
When we grant everyone what we claim for ourselves.
Long ago, we escaped the tyranny of Egypt. Our people saw the power of the Most High.
We learned God's presence redeems time and event. So we celebrate this power that makes for freedom.
Top of 152. Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar ba'kodesh, nohora tehilot, osei feheleh, malchutecha ra'u vanecha, bokeyam lifnei Moshe, ze eli anu v'amruhu, Adonai yimloch leolam va'ed, v'nehemar ki fad Adonai et Yaakov, u'ga'alo miyad chazak mimenu, baruch atah Adonai, ga'al Yisrael. Page 153, the top two lines, the last bracha, the final bracha of the Shema, Hashkivenu. We'll sing the first two lines and then we'll read the English paragraph together. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom, v'ha'amidenu shomreinu l'chaim. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom, v'ha'amidenu shomreinu l'chaim. Give us a place to rest, O God. Shelter us in the long, soft evening shadows of your truth. You are true protection and safety. In your presence we find love and acceptance. Watch over us as we go forth. Prepare for us as we return. Spread over us your shelter of peace, over all we love, over our Jerusalem and yours. Baruch atah Adonai, haporei sukat shalom aleinu, v'al kol amo Yisrael, v'al Yerushalayim. Page 154, as we move towards the Amidah, Vishamru, and it's not Shabbat without Vishamru, verses from the book of Exodus, reminding us of our relationship with Shabbat. Top of page 154. Vishamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, la'asot et ha-Shabbat לדורותם ברית עולם, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל, אותי לעולם, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. וביום השביעי שבת ויהי נפש, שבת ויהי נפש, שבת ויהי נפש, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. We are at the Amidah, the central prayer for the evening service, the Shabbat evening service. Pages 155, 156, and 157 we'll chant together, and then we'll go silent, and you can finish the Amidah, either reading the Hebrew or the English, or offering up your own personal prayer during this time. So we're all going to begin on page 155, the Amidah. Adonai sifatai tiftach uvi agi tehilatecha. Adonai sifatai tiftach uvi agi tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah. Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor, Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'konei HaKol, V'zocher Chasdei Avot V'imahot, U'mevi Goel Livnei B'neihem, Leman Shemo B'Ahava, Melech Ozer U'Moshia U'Magen, Baruch Atah Adonai, Magen Abraham, V'ezrat Sarah, Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai, Mechaye Metim Atarav L'Hoshia, Mashiv HaRuach, U'Morid HaGashem, Mechalkel Chaim B'Chesed, Mechaye Metim B'Rachamim Rabim, Somech Noflim V'Rofet Koholim, Umatir Asurim, Umekahaye Bemunato, Lishenei Afar, Michamocha Baal Giboro, Umidom Helah, Melech Meimit Umechahaye, Umatzmiach Yeshua, V'neman Atah L'chayot Meitim, Baruch Atah Adonai, Mechaye HaMeitim. Still completing your Amidah, please continue at your own pace. We're going to continue reading together in English, the middle of page 160 in English. May these hours of rest and renewal open our hearts to joy and our minds to truth. May all who struggle find rest on this day. May all who suffer find solace. May all who hurt find healing on this day. May all who despair find purpose. May all who hunger find fulfillment on this day, and may we all live in such a way that this day fulfill its promise. Baruch atah Adonai, mekadesh hashabat. Up page 163, a little bit of gratitude, a little bit of recognizing the good, and a little bit of thanksgiving. So let's go to top of page 163, and let's read responsibly. For the good in us, which calls us to a better life, we give thanks.
For the strength to improve the world with our hearts and our hands, we offer praise.
For the desire in us, which leads us to work for peace, we are grateful.
For life and nature, harmony and beauty, for the hope of tomorrow,
all
praise to the source of being.
And we're going to close out the Amidah on page 164 as usual with Shalom Rav, prayer for peace. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Leolam. Ki atahu melech adon lechol hashalom. Ki atahu melech adon lechol hashalom. Shalom rahav al Yisrael amcha, tasim leolam. Shalom rahav al Yisrael amcha, tasim leolam. V'tov be'necha levarech et amcha Yisrael b'chol eit u'b'chol sha'a b'shlomecha. Shalom rahav al Yisrael amcha, tasim leolam. Shalom rahav al Yisrael amcha, tasim leolam. Tasim leolam. Tasim leolam. All right, we're going to jump ahead to page 253 for Debbie Friedman's Misha Beirach. Misha Beirach Avotenu Mikor HaBracha Leimotenu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Mishebeirach imotenu mikor habracha la'avotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen. Pages 258 and 259, we'll read together the prayers for our community, beginning with the prayer for our congregation. Source of all being, may the children of this community learn these passions from us: love of Torah, devotion and prayer, and support of the needy. May we guide with integrity, and may our leadership be in your service. May those who teach and nourish us be blessed with satisfaction, and may we appreciate their time and their devotion. Bless us with the fruits of wisdom and understanding, and may our efforts bring fulfillment and joy. Baruch atah Adonai, she'otecha levacha v'yira na'avod. Thus says Adonai, this is what I desire, to unlock the fetters of wickedness and untie the cords of lawlessness, to let the oppressed go free, to break off every yoke. Share your bread with the hungry, and take the wretched poor into your home. When you see the naked, give clothing, and do not ignore your own kin. If you banish the yoke from your midst, the menacing hand, the evil speech, if you offer compassion to the hungry and satisfy the famished creature, then your light shall shine in darkness. Sha'alu shalom Yerushalayim, yishlayu ochavayich. Pray for the peace of Jerusalem. May those who love you prosper. Avinu Shabashamayim, Tzur Yisrael, V'go'alo, Barech et Medinat Yisrael, Reshit Smichat Ge'ulatenu. Hagein Aleha B'Yevrat Chasdecha, Ufros Aleha Sukat Shlomecha, Ushlach Urecha V'Amitecha L'Rasheha Sareha V'Yoetzeha, V'Tachnein Be'etzah Tova Milfanecha, V'Natata Shalom Ba'aretz, V'Simchat Olam Yoshveha, V'Nomar Amen. O Heavenly One, Protector and Redeemer of Israel, bless the state of Israel, which marks the dawning of hope for all who seek peace. Shield it beneath the wings of your love, spread over it the canopy of your peace. Send your light and truth to all who lead and advise, guiding them with your good counsel. Establish peace in the land and fullness of joy for all who dwell there. Amen. All right, friends, Shabbat Shalom and good Shabbos. This week is Parashat Nishpatin. And Nishpatin basically means rules or laws. We get the word for judge, shofet, there. And it basically is a continuation of the rules and laws that governed our ancient Israelite community. Now, it's a unique view that we have from the Torah. There are three types of material presented, but they are all gathered in one place, right? All the other codes in the ancient Middle East, you would have law, right? The Code of Hammurabi, for example, basically civil law. Then you would have the cultic or ritual practices, and they're often found in a priestly manual, right? For the leaders of whatever the religion was, whether it was a Canaanite religion or a Hittite religion. And then there was some sort of moral exhortation, right? Wisdom literature, how to be a good person, right? So those three laws, or those three types of law in the ancient Middle East were represented usually by three different kinds of books or three different works. But for us, in our Torah, you have the law, the cultic law, and the wisdom all under together. And it's not like one section is just this kind of law and one section is this kind. They're intermixed. We go from talking about sacrifices to talking about morality to talking about civil law, right? And it's seamless and it's beautiful and it is all together, right? So you don't have to go looking around for it. And that's what makes one of the reasons why our Torah is such a revolutionary document, because for its time, it was very, very forward thinking. Now, under law, I mean, you can imagine what we're going to cover. We would cover laws regarding slavery, which was permitted in biblical times, laws against what happens when somebody commits murder, when somebody kidnaps another person, personal injury, damages, right? When you say you break somebody's fence post or something, lying, the penalties for witchcraft and idolatry, oppression of the widow, the orphan, the stranger, business practices, and unjust treatment by judges. And that's all in this week's Parsha. Right? We get laws regarding all of those. Now, for ethics, we get plenty of ethics as well. Don't follow others to do evil. Right? Basically, what the Torah was saying is, if everybody jumped off the Brooklyn Bridge, would you jump with them? Right? So don't follow people to do evil. We have directives for the care for a distressed animal that happens to belong to a person that you don't like. What do you do when you come upon your neighbor whom you don't like and their cow is stuck in a ditch? You just walk by, or do you have to do something? Judges are told to show impartiality in judgments. And there is another, and this is going to come up again and again and again, the sensitivity to the stranger, to the people who are not part of your community, who might just be passing through, or who might have come to your community and decided to stay, right? Modern days, we don't have a lot of, we do have this. We call them immigrants, right? You can't just turn your back on people who come into your community. And we get a reason why. Because we were strangers in the land of Mitzrayim. We were strangers in Egypt. And so we're forbidden to treat others the way we were treated. And then, of course, there's a ritual aspect. So we get the laws for Shabbat, the sabbatical year, Pesach, Shavuot, and Sukkot. Right? All in one parsha. As a matter of fact, there are 53 mitzvot in this parsha. There are only 2 other parshiot out of the 54 that have more mitzvot, more commandments in them than this one. There are 23 positives and 30 negatives. And at the end of all of this, Bnei Yisrael answers, Kol asher diber Adonai na'aseh v'nishma. Everything that God said, we will do and we will obey. Or nishma also can mean we will listen, which means we will seek to understand. So this is the start. Last week it was the 10 Commandments. This week it's a continuation of that with more laws on how our ancient community was supposed to behave. And that's your Torah portion in a nutshell. All right, yesterday I was online and I saw a lot of people saying, had notices for Yom HaShoah. Yesterday was not Yom HaShoah, but it was a Holocaust Remembrance Day. It was the International Holocaust Remembrance Day, and that was established by the United Nations in 2005. It is not at all related to Yom HaShoah, at least as it's on our calendar. Yom HaShoah comes after Passover and is basically, it's not an international day. It's the Jewish remembrance of the Holocaust and the Shoah. But it's not just called Yom HaShoah. It's the day of remembrance of the Holocaust and the acts of courage. So when we get closer to Yom HaShoah, I'll be teaching more about that. But the International Holocaust Remembrance Day is an important day. It commemorates the victims of the Nazis during the Holocaust between the years of 1933 and 1945. It's observed on the 27th of January every year. And the reason they picked that particular day, it's the day on which Auschwitz-Birkenau was liberated by the Red Army in 1945. It remembers and honors the killing of 6 million Jews, including 1.5 million children. 2/3 of Europe's Jewish population perished during those years, as well as the millions of other victims, prisoners of war, communists, socialists, Roma, people with disabilities, LGBT people, and countless other groups. The day is known for being a day of education. A lot of educational programs go on, commemorating the victims, programs reading names of victims, teaching people how to prevent genocide, and efforts to combat Holocaust denial and anti-Semitism. But again, while it's not Yom HaShoah, it is still an important day, and we need this day. Right? Yom HaShoah, just by the name of it, suggests it is something that the Jews do for the memory of other Jews. Yom HaShoah, the day of the Holocaust. But this one was put together not by Jews. This one was not put together by a group of politicians sitting in Israel or a group of people sitting in a synagogue. This was put together by the United Nations, which understood the importance of recognizing what had happened during those years of darkness, 1933 to 1945. And now it's there's never been a more important time to have International Holocaust Remembrance Day and Yom HaShoah, because there have been too many comments passed in recent months that have made the news. Too many inappropriate Holocaust allusions and comparisons. And I found a handy-dandy chart for people when they want to make Holocaust comparisons. A lot of times I'll be listening to somebody and they'll say, well, what's going on? It's just like Eastern Europe. Well, no, it's not just like Eastern Europe. Well, the Nazis did this, and this is what, no, you're wrong. So here is the chart, and you don't need anything more than this chart. Can I compare this to the Holocaust? Right, whatever the item is, can I compare it to the Holocaust? Is it the Holocaust? Is what you're talking about actually the Holocaust? Then yes, then you can compare it to the Holocaust. If not, then no, you cannot, right? So what happens in America, what happens regarding, I don't know, vaccines, this, that, and the other, it's not the Holocaust, so there is no comparison to it. To do so is highly, highly, highly problematic. There is one Holocaust, and we don't need to be comparing the inconvenience of wearing a mask to the Jews wearing a yellow star in Eastern Europe. And anybody who does say those things, we need to correct them. Dr. Fauci, in fact, is not Dr. Mengele. They are not the same. And to compare Dr. Fauci and call him Dr. Mengele is highly problematic and offensive. Anti-vaxxers who choose to wear yellow stars, also highly problematic and offensive. And comparing how Jews must have felt during those years to whatever inconvenience people are feeling these days, not appropriate and highly offensive. And we need to point this out. And making people aware of what happened and why it's inappropriate and why people find it offensive is very, very, very important. Now more than ever, we need to educate people to speak up and to speak out. Because, and as I was getting ready this afternoon for Shabbat, the saga continues. I read that McMinn County School Board in East Tennessee voted to remove the Pulitzer Prize and National Jewish Book Award winning graphic novel Mouse from its 8th grade language arts curriculum. Now, those of you who don't know Mouse, after Shabbat, go on to Amazon and order it and read it. It's M-A-U-S. It was written by Art Spiegelman, and it's 2 volumes. It's a graphic novel, which is a fancy way of saying it's a comic book. But it is one of the most important comic books, graphic novels that came out of America in the late 80s, early 90s. And it is Art Spiegelman telling his father's story from a Jew living in Poland to being taken to Auschwitz and then being released and living in America after the war. It is the go-to book for most of us who teach high school or junior high and above when we teach the Holocaust. It's not appropriate for a 5-year-old or a 6-year-old, but it's more than appropriate for an 8-year-old. And it is the go-to book. It has been on hundreds, if not thousands, of syllabi. I've used it when I taught teenagers. I've used it when I taught adults. And so the reason it got pulled was because apparently there was profanity in it and female nudity. Now, it had been years since I read the graphic novel, so I went and pulled them off my shelf, and I read them last night. And I found the 3 words that were problematic. 2 of them were damn, and the third one was, well, I'm not going to say it, but 2 of them were damned. And this idea of female nudity, I found that problematic because there are no human beings in the books. Not one. They're not about human beings. The Jews in the book Mouse are portrayed by mice. They're as mice. The Germans are cats, and the Poles are pigs. That's it. There's not a human being to be found. And there's no nudity, per se. There is a scene of mice dying in the gas chambers, but you couldn't tell which ones were male and which ones were female. But what made me stop to think is that there was somebody actually going through these books, other than myself right now, looking for this kind of stuff. And so without even thinking about it, it's off the curriculum for 8th graders. I don't know what they're going to replace it with because there is nothing better. And then I saw a comment on the news before I came to shul tonight that somebody said, well, there was violence in the book. Okay, now you're going to be surprised, but World War II, wars are violent. And the Shoah was particularly violent. And so I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say, except we need to stand up and we need to say, hey, don't do this. Don't deprive children of an education. Don't say you can't read this, because what's going to come next? We're going to take the Diary of Anne Frank off school curriculum because, well, you know, it was written by a girl, right? And she talks about like wanting to go out with boys. We can't have our kids read that. I get frustrated at this kind of intolerance and this kind of nonsense. You want to ban a book? Ban the Bible. I say that as someone who has read it dozens, if not hundreds of times. There's murder, there's rape, there's incest, there's bestiality, there's witchcraft, and that's before we even get to the good parts. So you want to ban a book? Let's ban that one. But it'll never fly, because the problem is the people who don't want to ban the Bible have never read the Bible. They go to church or whatever religious services they go to once a week, and they hear somebody preach on one verse, and that's it. They never read the rest of it. They never read about Lot's daughters seducing him. They never read about Dinah's rape. They never read about the murder of an entire group of people by Dinah's brothers, and because they're upset at her. At what Shem did to her. I mean, it's all there. And then the rest of the Bible outside the Torah, it's even better. We can't stand silently while this happens. If we do, we are complicit in it. If we do, and I don't care what the book is, I don't care if it's Huckleberry Finn, I don't care if it's Mouse, I don't care what. Don't deprive children of an education because you're afraid that they might learn something. Mouse is a tremendously disturbing book. I still have nightmares about it every time I read it. I didn't read it at 5. I wouldn't recommend somebody at 10 reading it. But at 13 and above, they see worse, they hear worse watching TV in the afternoons. Don't let our history be wiped away. Don't let people say, it doesn't matter. We don't care. 6.5 million Jews died. 10 million people who weren't Jewish died. 16.5 million people died at the hands of the Nazis between 1933 and 1945. I am not going to let their memory be forgotten. Neither should you. Shabbat Shalom and Good Shabbos. I promise I'll come back to fun topics once people in this country stop acting like idiots. I'll come back to, fun things. But until then, I am the town crier. Maury, What time is it?
Kadoosh.
It's time for Kiddush. A little bit of brightness for Kiddush. For Leil Shabbat, for Shabbat evening. Vayhi Erev, Vayhi Boker, Yom HaShishi. Vayechulu HaShamayim V'Haaretz, V'chol Tzevam. Vayechal Elohim Vayom HaShvi'i, Melachto Asher Asa. Vayishbok Vayom HaShvi'i, Mikol Melachto Asher Asa. Vayavarech Elohim et Yom HaShvi'i, Vayikadesh Oto, Ki bo Shavat Mikol Melachto Asher Bara Elohim La'asot. Sabri. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech olam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu, v'shabbat kodsho b'ahava u'ratzon hinchilanu, zikaro l'maaseh bereshit. Ki hu yom techila l'mikrahi kodesh, zecher l'tziat mitzrayim. Ki banu v'charta, v'yotanu kidashta, mikol ha'amim. V'shabbat kodshecha, v'ahava u'ratzon, Inchaltanu. Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh HaShabbat. As we conclude our services, or begin to conclude our services, we are going to turn to page 282 for Aleinu. Aleinu l'shabeach la'adon ha'kol, la'tei kedula liyotzeh b'reshit, shelo asanu k'goyei haratzot, v'lo samanu k'mishpachot ha'adama, shelo sam chelkeinu kahem, v'gor aleinu kechol hamonam. Va'anachnu korim u'mishtachavim u'modim lifnei melech malchei hamlachim hakadosh baruch hu shehu noteh shamayim v'yoser haaretz u'moshav yikaro b'shamayim imal u'shchinatu zo v'govhei meromim. Hu Eloheinu einod, emet malkeinu et besulato, kakahatu v'torahato, v'yadata hayom v'hashevota, elevavecha, ki Adonai hu Elohim, b'shamayim v'imal, v'al haaretz v'itachat einod. Gagetu b'toratecha, Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed, v'nehemar, v'haya Adonai, lamelech al kol haaretz, v'yom hahu, yihyeh Adonai echad. Ushemo echad. This week, we observed the following yard sites: Bruce Selman, Joan Lerner's cousin; Jack Cutler, son of Harry and Sophie, husband of Ida, father of Rose; Barbara Gross, Roger's wife, mother of Lawrence, Daniel, Ron, and Susan; Julius Poland, Joan Weisberg's uncle; Abe Berinsky, father of Manning; Harry Curran, Howard's father; Catherine Morgan Brown, wife of Irvin, mother of Benjamin and Morgan; Steven Rosenblum, relative of Valerie White; Janet Russell, aunt of Cheryl Hirsch and Susie Brodoff; Nathan Solacek, Mark's father. May their souls be bound up in the bond of life eternal. May their memories be a blessing to us all, and may they all rest in peace. Mourner's Cottage is found on page 294. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, ve'alma yivrach hirutei, v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayechon v'yomechon, v'chaye v'kol Beit Yisrael, v'agala v'zman kari v'imru. Amen. Yehi shmei Rabbah v'vorach v'olam olamei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei v'kudusha v'richu. Le'elah min kol birchata v'shirata. Tushbachata v'nechamata v'amiram v'yalma v'yimru. Amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya. V'chayim aleinu v'yal kol Yisrael v'yimru. Amen. Oseh shalom b'mrumav. Hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimru. Amen. All right, friends, we are just about through Friday night services. I want to wish everybody Shabbat Shalom and a good Shabbos. Services tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. and then again on Sunday morning at 9 a.m. No adult ed this weekend, or at least on Sunday. We're going to pick up in, I think it's next week already. My goodness. And we're going to be looking at, I think it's Who Wrote the Torah. So you want to find out who wrote the Torah? It's a more complex answer than you probably thought. Then Monday night, we have a deep dive into Genesis, and we are getting ready to start the story of Noah and the Mabul, Noah and the flood. So if you haven't joined us yet, this is a good time to jump on in and learn a little bit about the Bible and the Torah in ways that you never thought you would. So that's Monday night at 6:30 on Zoom. And then on Wednesday night, get your Yiddish on, get your song on with the best little Yiddish choir from coast to coast. That's 7 o'clock on Zoom. And then we will be right back here next Friday night with another Parsha. And hopefully, next Friday night would be Ask the Rabbi. So get your questions in if you have questions, and I'll take a stab at answering them next Friday night, first Shabbat of the month. And I think that is it. And so other than to say, just be careful out there if the roads are slippy and the sidewalks are not clean. I don't know. I mean, in my neighborhood, I think there are only 4 sidewalks that get shoveled, and I do 3 of them. So I'm not quite sure what people are doing, but they're not shoveling sidewalks. So, but the sidewalk here in front of B'nai Sholem, it's shoveled, and we're here. So come join us. But let's close out on page 321 with Adon Olam. Adon Olam asher malach b'terem kol yitzir nivra li'et nasa b'chefzo kol azai melech shemo nikra bi'acharei kiklot hakol Levado yimloch nohora, v'hu haya, v'hu obed, v'hu yeh b'tifara, v'hu echad, v'ein sheni, laham shilo, lahachbira, v'li reshit, v'li tachlit, v'lo ha'oz, v'hamisra, v'hu eli, v'chai goali, V'tzoreb li b'yeit Sahara, Vehu nisi humanos li menat kohosi biomekra biahado akiruhi V'eti shan bi'aha'ira b'imruchi geviati Adonai li velo ira. All right, let's see. Oh boy, do we have comments tonight from the interwebs. Hopefully people are saying hello and Shabbat Shalom. So from GDT, Florida. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Thank you. Jenny Bro, Shabbat Shalom. Peaceful Shabbat weekend to everyone. Beautiful snowfall. You got it, Jenny. And stay warm. ML Glazer from Herman and Mary Lee Glazer. Good Shabbat to all. May everyone be well and keep warm. Thank you, Glazers. There's Mom. Shabbat Shalom from Rabbi's Mom and Cliff from snowy Pennsylvania. Thanks, Mom and Cliff. Wishing all a good weekend. Melanie Samuels from the holy city of Brooklyn. Melanie, I got some emails bounced back, so we'll talk. Good Shabbos to all with wishes to everyone for a wonderful winter weekend. Thank you. Diane Shaddles, Shabbat Shalom and good Shabbos. Stay warm and enjoy your day of rest along with the beauty of the snow. Thank you, Diane. Same to you and Steve. Brenda Glick, Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Stay warm. From Billy and Brenda, thank you. And Nancy Tarber, Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Stay warm. Nancy, we plan on it. So everybody be safe out there. Everybody have a Shabbat Shalom. Be safe, and we'll see you soon.